getting people on board is step one for sure.
Well, yeah, and I think in both examples, the example you gave, the example I gave, these are horrifying situations that you're pushing people to be involved in, and it really does go against conventional wisdom on training to start at that level,
Mm.
and to dive into a scenario with minimal on ramp, because it seems to go against crawl, walk, run. Crawl, walk, run is good once you start conveying information and skills, but there's a step before that, and that it's integrated with that, but it's the first thing that has to happen is you've got to get that group on board, and a scenario is really the best way to do it. I can actually pivot us a little bit on that to an example on data, where when we were over the summer, one of the questions that we in our School of Public Health were asked to answer for administration was, what models should we be looking at, or how should we be interpreting all of these models that were out there last summer about what our reopening metrics should look like, and identified the problem pretty quickly that, hey, we've got to get these folks thinking about how to handle this data, but also we're missing a key data point. We're missing asymptomatic spread. And our School of Public Health and our RNA Institute had been pushing for surveillance testing, for proactive surveillance testing on campus. So what we did was we built scenarios, a sort of progressive scenario, where we said, hey, these are the decisions that you're making. These are the metrics that you have. And then the last stage of the scenario used an example where community spread was being reflected with asymptomatic spread on campus before before it really started to hit the case count in the data. And that, going through that experience and realizing as a decision maker, I don't have this tool at my disposal now, it makes you want that tool at your disposal. It's the training version of driving up next to the old car and saying, hey, do you see how this approach is giving you more data? And UAlbany became one of the first schools to in the SUNY system to have a surveillance testing program, and has consistently been ahead of the curve because our administrators were willing to go through that experience and sort of test drive ahead of time, what they were going to need, what decisions they were going to need to make, what data they would need, and then they were able to make good decisions on how to get that data.